video demonstration, I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful sort of chrysanthemum or carnation using the new JND378 carnation die. There are lots of different ways you can use this flower. And this one I'm going to show you how to sort of stack it up to give you the sort of carnation look, almost like a clove pink. But there are lots and lots of different ways that we can use this, just with colour or in plain and simple, and you get this beautiful sort of like a tube sort of flower, again using bright colours. Or if we sort of scope it all together, we get this sort of beautiful traditional flower, or again something a little bit spikier. So there's lots you can do with this, but I thought I'm going to show you first of all some of the benefits of the die and the fact that we've got these embossing lines on it. So to start with, I've got my die here, and you'll notice there are lots of hand-drawn embossing lines on each petal. These are what give us that variation of colour that you see in carnations and other flowers. And to take advantage of that, we're simply going to use dragon fruit in the Craft Artist Fusion range, which is a beautiful fusion ink of dye ink, pigment ink, and it has gold running through it, so it gives beautiful shine and highlights. And all we're going to do is just gently rub the die or with the ink pad. You're not trying to get it even. You know, flowers are not perfect and even. We're not trying to sort of ink it. We're just rubbing the ink on. You will get plenty on the background, and don't worry about that at all. It's just the way that it goes. And then I've taken a piece of card here, and I've got coconut white essential card from the Craft Artist range. I'm just going to very carefully turn over my die, stick that on, and use a little bit of the Craft Artist tape just to hold it into place, and we'll run that through our die cutting machine. And I'm running this through my Kaleido, but it will fit through any A5 or bigger die cutting machine, and it will give you a beautiful cut every time. So we're just running it through off camera just because it makes it a lot easier. Sorry, all you're seeing is the shadows. We'll take that one out. Hopefully stuck to the plate, and here we go. And you'll see at the moment it looks a real mess, but once we actually pop each of the flowers out, you'll see you get that beautiful printed line. Let's just release from there. Get that beautiful printed sort of line that's quite sketchy all the way along. Obviously, if you use a stronger ink, so if you use more of a stamping ink like a VersaFine, you'll get a more definitive line. But for this and for flowers, you want something quite soft. So we've already taken this white card and given it a beautiful pink edge. So what we need to do now is just to emphasize those colors. So again, I'm going to bring in my dragon fruit, and I'm going to bring in a finger dauber, which is the best tool to do this with. And I'm gently going to hold each petal in the air and simply flick color over the edge. This darkens that edge and gives you that sort of darker pinky edge that you get again with carnations and a lot of other flowers. And it gives a little bit more interest to it. So I'm just going to go through, and obviously we would do that to each of the flowers. I'm then going to take a pair of tweezers, and I'm going to hold those in the middle of each petal and just fold each petal gently up against the tweezers to give me a nice little spike. So just like that, really nice and simple, and we do that across on every single one of those flowers. And we would do that to all of the flowers. Now, I've already done that to speed it up. I've already got a set here done, but it can show you the sizes. So you get 2 large, 2 sort of medium, 2 sort of small. You then get 4 of this sort of midi size, and you get 4 of the mini size. And what I've done with the mini size, so I've done the same with the tweezers for each of those pieces, but for the actual mini size, all I'm going to do is, you can do this on a piece of foam. So if you have a piece of flower foam, I'm using the Craft Artist one, we just take a ball tool and just scribble it through the middle and press to get the beautiful little cup shape like that. And then it's simply a case of putting these together. So I'm going to use for this some of the Craft Artist glue glaze, which is so easy for flowers. And all I'm going to do is, I'm going to make a large carnation. So I'm going to take the largest flower, and I'm going to take the same size, and I'm going to offset and pop that in the center. I'm then going to go a little bit of glue in the middle, and I'm going to skip and take one of the next size down. So I'm missing the middle, I'm going for the smaller size, and I'm going to pop that one in. And again, I'm just going to press in the center. I'm then going to add, again, a little bit of glue glaze, and I'm going to take one offset of the midi. I'm then going to add some more glue glaze and take one more offset of the midi. So putting those two together, just like that. And I'm then going to again glue glaze into the center, and I'm going to add one of the smallest, a little bit more glue glaze, and a final one of the smallest into there. I'm then going to hold that in the center, and I'm going to flick all of those petals up, screwing the ones in the middle right up like that. And that way we get that beautiful sort of carnation look. So there's one done. With the pieces that are left, I'm going to put those together to make me a second one. Now obviously you could layer all of these together to make yourself a massive one, but I think it makes sense just to use half the set and get two. You don't want them too deep, and I like the idea that one A6 piece of card will give us two sort of carnations. So again, taking the next one down, so this again has 3 layers. So we're creating the larger section on the outside with 3 layers, and then we're creating that section inside with 2 of the midi. So again, using my pokey tool, get that in the right place and press down. By pressing down quite hard, it already gets them to start to pop up. I'm going to add a further midi into there, just get that in the right place, and it's nowhere near as fiddly as it actually looks. And you see they start to already prop up, and you get that sort of uneven petal look by mixing the shapes like this. And again, you can add 1 or 2 centers. I think I'm just going to add 1 center into this, so I'm just going to pinch that up in my fingers and drop that into the center, and again press in the middle and pop all of those petals up, and that way we get 2 beautifully sized and shaped, very full sort of carnation looking flowers. And again, to finish this off, I'm going to add this to a card. So I've simply here made a little card blank in 6x6 using the brickwork from Press Cut background, and I've got some of the rose foil leaves which have that beautiful embossed line on them, and that means that they fold beautifully. So I'm just going to take a couple of those leaves, probably do a little selection of 3, and because I want these a little bit sort of pronounced, I'm going to use some pin flare glue gel and cocktail stick, which allows me to keep the 3D in the leaves. So we're just going to glue those on nice and simply. Move that up a little bit. So I create, whenever I'm putting foliage on, a little triangle, as I find that's the most attractive. So there's my little triangle of leaves. I can then take my 2 carnations, and again, normal craft artist glue or a little bit of pin flare, whichever is easier for you. Normally I would use craft artist glue, but so I can hold this up, I'm actually using the pin flare, and tuck those 2 little flowers in, and then I can fill anywhere else that I want to with a little bit more foliage. So again, let's go and sneak it into there, and we'll put a final one in that little space, perhaps there, and let that lean over. And there we have, once they're dry, we can scrunch them up. We have the beautiful carnations. For more ideas, hints, tips and inspiration, why not visit the Crafting with John next door on Crafts2 group on Facebook. Enjoy.